which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Dan Arth, and for the next hour, I will be reading from the December 2025 Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Article: Parents now pay more for childcare than housing across the U.S. by Stacy M. Brown. Childcare is draining American families with a force that has begun to rival housing costs, and new national analysis shows that in cities across the country, parents are paying more to care for their children than to keep a roof over their heads. Childcare is draining American families with a force that has begun to rival housing costs. And new national analysis shows that in cities across the country, parents are paying more to care for their children than to keep a roof over their heads. Researchers at Lending Tree found that infant care exceeds average rent in 11 of the nation's 100 largest metro areas, while child care for 2 children exceeds rent in 85 cities across the country. The spike in expenses lands at a moment when the federal shutdown has blocked funding for 140 Head Start programs that serve 65,000 preschoolers. At least 20 programs have partially or fully closed, directly affecting nearly 10,000 children whose families now face soaring out-of-pocket child care costs with no federal support. Matt Schultz, Chief Consumer Finance Analyst for Lending Tree, called the price crush unavoidable for many families. Spending almost $1,300 a month on child care is a massive burden for parents, but most families don't have another choice, Schultz stated. They can't stay home. They don't have family or friends they can rely on for child care. They have no other option but to put up a ton of money each month for child care. According to Lending Tree, full-time infant care across the 100 largest metro areas averages $1,282 per month, compared with $1,716 for a 2-bedroom rental. But in cities like Springfield, Massachusetts, parents now spend $1,996 on infant care, compared with $1,734 for a 2-bedroom apartment. That 15% gap is the highest in the country. Milwaukee follows at nearly 15%. Wichita, Omaha, Baltimore, Buffalo, Syracuse, Spokane, Minneapolis, Toledo, and Worcester also report infant care costs that outpace rent by significant margins. The financial blow becomes more punishing for households with 2 children. Families in Omaha are paying $2,891 a month for child care for an infant and a 4-year-old, more than twice the city's average monthly rent of $1,368. Milwaukee and Buffalo are close behind, with child care there also costing more than double the rent. Households in Springfield, Syracuse, Toledo, Spokane, Minneapolis, Wichita, and Rochester all face gaps of 70% or more between child care costs and rent. Lending Tree notes that while the situation is severe in many regions, the pressure is also felt in cities where rent is extremely high. In Miami, San Jose, and San Francisco, rent still exceeds child care costs, but child care remains a heavy expense that continues to climb. Nationally, the price of childcare increased more than 30% between 2020 and 2024, driven in part by shortages of early childhood educators and widespread childcare deserts in rural and low-income regions. For many households, the federal shutdown has turned an already strained system into a breaking point. Without funding, Head Start programs in more than a dozen states have already halted classes or reduced hours. Advocates warn that families who lose subsidized early childhood education face few alternatives, especially in communities that already lack available childcare slots. Schultz said families should brace for continued financial pressure. High rent and childcare costs create massive challenges for most young families, he said. However, to the degree possible, it is important to not fully ignore long-term goals like retirement and emergency savings. District of Columbia story. In Washington, childcare rivals the region's soaring rent as federal shutdown cuts off funding for thousands. In the nation's capital, where the price of nearly everything feels inflated, childcare has emerged as one of the most punishing expenses for families. New data from LendingTree shows that in the Washington metro area, full-time infant care averages $2,140 per month, almost equal to the region's two-bedroom rent of $2,253. For households with two young children, the burden jumps even higher to $3,854 per month, 71% more than the region's average rent. The fallout from the federal shutdown is making the pressure even worse. As of November 1st, 140 Head Start programs nationwide serving 65,000 preschoolers have received no federal funding. 20 programs have been forced to fully or partially close, affecting nearly 10,000 children. Programs in the D.C. region warn that unless Congress releases funds, more families will be pushed into the already overburdened private child care market where prices outpace salaries for many workers. Nationally, the LendingTree analysis found that the cost of infant care exceeds rent in 11 cities, and that the price of caring for an infant and a 4-year-old is higher than rent in 85 cities. Washington ranks 14th on that list. The average D.C. area family with two children is paying $1,601 more per month for childcare than for housing. Baltimore, also in the region, reports infant care costs of $2,084 compared with rent of $1,857 per month, a 12% gap that adds to financial pressure across the wider metro corridor. Matt Schultz of LendingTree said many families cannot escape the mounting costs. Most families don't have another choice, he said. They can't stay home, they don't have family or friends they can rely on. The tight supply of early childhood educators in the district, the high cost of commercial space for licensed centers, and the region's elevated cost of living all contribute to the problem. Industry experts also point to the surge in demand as more parents return to in-person work. Washington's struggle mirrors national trends. Between 2023 and 2024, the average price of childcare nationwide jumped more than 13%. The district remains one of the most expensive cities in the country for infant care, exceeding the cost of public university tuition in many states. Local officials have urged Congress to restart child care funding immediately. Without the federal support that sustains Head Start and early Head Start operations in the region, families who already pay some of the highest child care prices in the country will face even fewer options. Schultz warned that the situation demands urgent attention. It makes an already difficult financial situation that much more challenging, he said. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Next article is health-related. New York State Office for the Aging highlights resources during Caregivers Month to help New Yorkers who provide unpaid care to friends and family. The New York State Office for the Aging today recognized National Family Caregivers Month, highlighting the many resources to support unpaid caregivers in New York State who provide uncompensated help to a friend or family member. New York State Office for Aging Director Greg Olson said, National Family Caregivers Month is a time to celebrate and recognize the people in your life caring for a loved one. While each caregiver's journey is unique, you are not alone. NYSOFA, the New York State Office for the Aging, and our community partners work continuously to help caregivers understand the importance of their work and support them, including in-person support as well as tools to relieve caregiver stress, find resources, learn evidence-based best practices, and feel empowered. More than half of unpaid caregivers do not self-identify in this role. They are family members, friends, or neighbors who provide unpaid care and support to someone else, such as a spouse, an older parent, children, or someone with chronic or other medical conditions. NYSOFA works on multiple levels to raise awareness of unpaid caregiving while offering programs for all individuals of all ages who provide this care for someone else, including many digital resources and supports. In New York State, every year, more than 4 million caregivers provide direct and indirect care to assist a relative, friend, or neighbor, regardless of age. Understandably, caregiving can take a toll on a caregiver's physical and mental health. NYSOFA has partnered with Archangels on an Any Care Counts New York campaign that uses a Caregiver Intensity Index, CII, for measuring caregiver intensity. The Caregiver Intensity Index, CII, is being used statewide by area agencies on aging, AAAs, for caregiver assessments, revealing that more than 30% of caregivers are, quote, in the red, meaning they are experiencing the most severe caregiving burden or are in crisis, and more than half are still working. Learn more and get your score using the CII here. Self-identifying as a caregiver. To help caregivers self-identify, NYSOFA has developed a caregiver's guide video that summarizes the many services and supports available to caregivers in New York State. Aging services programs to help caregivers. Area agencies on aging in New York State deliver more than 20 core services to help older adults age in place. These programs help caregivers by meeting older adults' social, assistive, and other community-based needs, thus relieving caregiver intensity. These services and supports include transportation, nutrition programs, home-delivered and congregate meals, personal care, legal services, social programs, including friendly calls or visiting programs, and more. To learn more about these programs, visit NYSOFA's website. That's New York State Office for the Aging, or contact New York Connects at 1-800-342-9871. That's New York Connects at 1-800-342-9871. NYSOFA and the Aging Services Network also provide directly to caregivers, such as respite programs. Finance article. Home Buyer Financial Matter Seminar by Julian McGee. A home ownership seminar was held at the Frank E. Merriweather Library branch located at 1324 Jefferson Avenue on August 21st, 2024, featuring representatives from M&T Bank, 1300 Jefferson Avenue, Buffalo Urban League, the Murphy Bergen Realty Corp Group, MMB, and WUFO Radio. The seminar was aimed at getting vital information to future home buyers so that they can make wise decisions in home property buying. To begin with, Miss India Walker, branch manager of the Jefferson M&T branch, spoke about the importance of having good credit when buying a home. Quote, good credit is the underlying rule in buying a home or even renting an apartment. Paying bills on time can show a good standing and rating on a credit report. The bank will help customers look and see what a credit report says, offer to help improve their credit scores, and offer ways to help customers save for their down payments through various bank accounts available, said Miss Walker. Miss Shelley Fryer, M&T Bank Mortgage Officer at the Broadway branch at 999 Broadway Street, gave helpful advice on the pre-approval process by assisting the home buyer in telling them that they must meet the requirements of 2 years of full-time employment, money for the home inspection, and aim for the 5% of the purchase price of the home. She also said that a high credit score will give better mortgage options, plus taking the first-time home buyer's class would be good as well. Miss Rosalind Burgeon of MMB Realty Group, located at 651 Delaware Avenue, has been in business for 4 years, and the realty company has grown tremendously. Their aim is to help people get generational wealth through home ownership. The realtors let their clients know what it takes to buy a house from start to finish. According to Mrs. Burgeon, a house is the largest purchase a person can make. An inspection of the home is necessary to see if the house a person wants to buy is in good condition. The group handed out books titled Home Buyer's Packet that speaks of what the prospective buyer seller should know from the various check-off lists provided in the book. One main thing the buyer seller should do is interview the realtor. The realtor should be knowledgeable and go through the entire process of home buying. They are working in your best interest. She went on to say, if a person is paying rent, they are paying the landlord's mortgage, car notes, and kids' education, and so on. When the renter can be paying their own mortgage, it's better to own your own home. Beverly Moore of the Buffalo Urban League spoke on managing your money to prepare and the advantages of home ownership. She said, home ownership builds a sense of community, equity, stability, and tax benefits. According to Ms. Moore, rental payments can increase budgeting for a down payment. Saving money first can create a spending budget to buy houses. The Buffalo Urban League has different housing resources to offer through its housing and community development programs, such as the home ownership with counseling on obtaining, maintaining, and retaining your home, rental counseling, offering information on affordable rental units that are currently open. Utilizing the website www.nyhousingsearch.gov and rental listings for both Erie and Niagara counties. Ms. Moore can be reached at the Buffalo Urban League, 15 Genesee Street, Buffalo, New York, 14203. 716-250-2400 or 716-250-2402 on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Finally, building up the community through home ownership is a way that generational wealth begins by making the resources available to do so. Sports. The final stretch run has arrived by Pat Freeman. The Buffalo Bills have entered the final stretch of the season and still have the hope of winning the division. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year that this week's matchup in New England would be a huge matchup with division and playoff implications, I would have said no possible way. This season has been ideal for parity in the NFL, with any week supplying upsets. The hometown team has continued to remain competitive despite teams that have slumped this season. Despite the criticisms of many, including myself, this organization is ranked as one of the best in the league under the McDermott Bean regime. If the Bills can get into the tournament, anything can happen with a franchise quarterback like Josh Allen. The problem is that the Bills have had injuries this year, which has hurt them for the first time during this regime's tenure. It is hard to do well when you do not know who is suiting up from week to week. This has been the first year that the Bills under McDermott Bean have had so many issues with players staying healthy. The other bug which has hurt the Bills are turnovers at the wrong time, especially in close games. Turnovers are the one thing that drives head coaches crazy because you are now beating yourself. Surely running back James Cook, after demanding a new contract, is going to have to address his recent fumbles during games. One thing you know for sure is that the head coach will address this issue, especially now that we are in harsh weather months. Sports. Basketball legend George McGinnis dies at 73 by Stacey M. Brown. NBA Hall of Famer George McGinnis has died at 73. According to the Indiana Pacers organization, the legendary player who won 2 ABA championships with the team and later made a name for himself in the NBA, died Thursday morning, December 14th. McGinnis had been hospitalized following a cardiac arrest at his residence. The Simon family and Pacers Sports and Entertainment expressed their condolences while highlighting McGinnis's profound impact on the basketball community. George McGinnis shaped so many of the fondest basketball memories for generations of Hoosiers. He was the very definition of Indiana basketball legend, a champion and a Hall of Fame athlete. But he was more than that. George was family, the statement read. Recognized for his exceptional contributions to the Pacers, McGinnis played a pivotal role during his 2 stints in the ABA and NBA finals. His illustrious career included ABA titles with the Pacers in 72 and 73, with McGinnis earning playoff MVP honors during the later championship run. The basketball maestro was also honored as the ABA co-MVP in the 74-75 season with the legendary Julius Erving after achieving a career-high average of 29.8 points per game. McGinnis transitioned to the NBA in 1975, joining the Philadelphia 76ers, where he earned consecutive All-Star nods before departing in 1978. Before retiring with the Pacers in 1982, McGinnis had a brief stint with the Denver Nuggets from 1978 to 1980 and received another All-Star selection. The basketball world formally recognized his monumental impact on the sport with his induction into the Hall of Fame in 2017, and the Pacers honored him by retiring his jersey number 30. Before turning pro, McGinnis was a third-team All-American at Indiana University in 1970 to 71, leading the Big Ten in scoring and rebounding. Entertainment article. 2 Buffalo natives helped bring the new Hallmark holiday film to life, continuing the city's growing moment in festive pop culture. Fresh off the excitement surrounding the Buffalo Bills themed Hallmark movie, Western New York has even more to celebrate. 2 Buffalo natives played key roles in the creation of Hallmark's newest holiday release, A Grand Ole Opry Christmas. Director Claire Niederpruem and actress Eliza Hayes Marr, both hailing from Buffalo, have contributed their talents to the film, marking another proud moment for the city in the national spotlight. While Marr will be celebrating from afar, Claire Niederpruem will return home to Buffalo on Saturday, November 29th, 2025, for a special private watch party honoring the film and her continued creative success. A hometown director on the rise, Claire Niederpruem has become known for her warm, character-driven filmmaking, directing projects such as Little Women in 2018 and Christmas with the Campbells in 2022. Her growing body of work spans multiple studios, including Hallmark, and has established her as a distinctive voice in modern holiday storytelling. 2 local creatives making national impact. Eliza Hayes Marr, who appears as young Rita in A Grand Ole Opry Christmas, is also a Buffalo native with a career across stage and screen. She was also seen in all 3 of the fan favorite Hallmark Haul Out the Holly films, Hidden Gems in 2022 and Taking the Reins in 2021. Buffalo's creative momentum. With multiple Buffalo-connected artists making waves in recent Hallmark productions, the city's influence on holiday entertainment continues to grow. Niederpruem and Marr's work reinforces Buffalo's reputation as a place that cultivates strong storytelling, artistic collaboration, and nationally recognized talent. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Entertainment article, Wendy Williams' Brave Revelation, Living with Progressive Aphasia and Frontotemporal Dementia, by Stacy M. Brown. Before conquering daytime television, Williams spent 23 years building a devoted fan base on the radio with The Wendy Williams Experience, a top-rated daily radio show. Syndicated nationally, it aired on WBLS in New York, captivating an audience of more than 12 million people. In recognition of her contributions, Williams was inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame in November 2009, a prestigious honor held by only a handful of women. Wendy Williams' team has confirmed that the former daytime talk show host has been diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, FTD. In a press release, aides to Williams said her condition, including aphasia, has impacted her language and communication abilities, while FTD has impacted Williams' behavior and cognitive functions. Last year, actor Bruce Willis also shared his battle with the same form of dementia. Known for hosting The Wendy Williams Show from 2008 to 2021, Williams has faced a myriad of health challenges leading to her departure, including Graves' disease and lymphedema. The show ultimately concluded in June 2022 after several guest hosts took over. Over the past few years, questions have been raised at times about Wendy's ability to process information, and many have speculated about Wendy's condition, particularly when she began to lose words, act erratically at times, and have difficulty understanding financial transactions, her team said in a news release. The decision to share this news was difficult and made after careful consideration, not only to advocate for understanding and compassion for Wendy, but to raise awareness about aphasia and frontotemporal dementia and support the thousands of others facing similar circumstances. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce honored Williams in 2019 with the 2,677th star on the world-famous Hollywood Walk of Fame in the category of television. Born in Asbury Park, New Jersey, Williams counts as one of the world's foremost media moguls, philanthropist, entrepreneur, performer, and best-selling author. She became a household name thanks to her nationally syndicated talk show, The Wendy Williams Show. The show was a powerhouse on daytime television, earning multiple Daytime Emmy nominations and boasting memorabilia in the Smithsonian Museum. Broadcasting in over 50 countries, The Wendy Williams Show consistently drew more than 1.6 million viewers per episode. At the show's heart was a diverse mix of interviews with celebrity guests from television, film, music, and sports. Williams and the show have been recognized with Daytime Emmy nominations for Best Talk Show Host and Best Entertainment Talk Show. Before conquering daytime television, Williams spent 23 years building a devoted fan base on the radio with the Wendy Williams Experience, a top-rated daily radio show. Syndicated nationally, it aired on WBLS in New York, captivating an audience of more than 12 million people. In recognition of her contributions, Williams was inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame in November 2009, a prestigious honor held by only a handful of women. Her versatility as a performer extends beyond the airwaves with TV, Broadway, and film credits to her name. She has graced the screen in various roles, from playing herself on NBC's 30 Rock to competing on season 12 of ABC's Dancing with the Stars. Her hosting stint on Game Show Network's original series Love Triangle, along with featured guest appearances on ABC's One Life to Live and Lifetime's Drop Dead Diva, showcased her diverse talent. Additionally, Williams took on significant roles in the major motion pictures Think Like a Man and Think Like a Man 2, as well as a memorable turn as Mama Morton in the Tony-winning revival of the musical Chicago. In 2014, HarperCollins published Hold Me in Contempt, Williams's seventh book and debut romance novel. The book skyrocketed to New York Times bestseller status on its first day of release, solidifying her influence across various forms of media. Adding another feather to her cap, Williams ventured into the world of fashion design, achieving the status of a #1 selling brand with HSN through her Wendy Williams collection. The announcement about her health arrives just days ahead of the premiere of the two-part documentary, Where is Wendy Williams?, airing on Lifetime on February 24th and 25th. Williams herself produced the documentary, which candidly examines her experience with Graves' disease and other topics. Contrary to the portrayal in the film, Wendy's sister, Wanda Finney, reassured the public that Williams is now in a much better place emotionally and is in greater shape. I spoke with her yesterday, and she is, from what I understand, in a wellness healing environment, Finney stated. We cannot reach out to her, but she can reach out to us, and she is in a healing place emotionally. She's not the person that you see in this film. An article from local news, Claus with a Cause, December to Remember. The International Claus with a Cause has kicked off his 2025 December to Remember tour in Buffalo, New York, with the creation of the Junior Claus Academy for young Christians. The appointment of a Junior Claus, the King of Awesome, starts with a magical tree lighting at the Michigan Street Baptist Church, then to a beautiful brunch with the Buffalo Federation of Neighborhood Centers. The event culminates with a massive toy giveaway with WUFO 1080 Power 96.5 FM at their soulful Christmas celebration, ice skating at KeyBank Center with Sabretooth, and much more. His Buffalo adventures are far from finished. His next adventure is the Holidays on the Fairways on December 13th, which will be a free golf clinic and toy giveaway at the Encore Golf Facility. His journeys take him all around the world every year, and since Buffalo is so special to his heart, and to celebrate the centennial of the Buffalo Criterion, he wants to offer a limited special offer of free virtual visits on Christmas Day with families who subscribe to the Buffalo Criterion. A select number of subscribers will be chosen, and even a few will be lucky enough to have the paper delivered by Kenta Claus himself on December 22nd. If you are not a subscriber, it's not too late to give the gift of this historical newspaper to your church, organization, or family members who would love to have this publication come to them every week. Contact the Buffalo Criterion at 716-882-9570 716-882-9570, or email criterion.info@thebuffalocriterion.com to be eligible. Kenta Claus wants everyone to have a Merry Christmas and joyous Kwanzaa. Follow his journeys on his social media at Kenta Claus. Local news. Buffalo Prep's David Johnson moves to executive director. President Patty Stephen to focus on strategy, fundraising, and building endowment. Article. Buffalo Prep President Patty Stephen, in a long-planned and board-approved transition, will shift her full focus to strategic planning and philanthropic growth for the Education Equity Organization, and College Prep Senior Director David Johnson will take over Prep's day-to-day operations starting July 1st, 2026. The planned transition, approved by Buffalo Prep's board today, has been under discussion for 6 months. Buffalo Prep, in its 36th year, educates, mentors, and provides support for almost 800 scholars annually from 70 public, private, and charter middle schools and 18 high schools in 35 zip codes. Prep, which offers its scholars 6 grade-based programs, also actively supports its high school graduates in college and has an alumni chapter for its graduates. Buffalo Prep's growth and success on behalf of our scholars and their families also means the organization has become far-reaching enough that it's best managed by 2 people, said Board Chair Jody Ann Galvin, a partner at Hodgson Russ. This well-thought-out leadership sustainability decision puts Patty in a position to build Prep regionally and nationally, while David evolves from leading Prep's largest program to becoming executive director overseeing its daily operations. Johnson, 38, currently serves as the senior director of College Prep, the organization's program for high school students moving to post-secondary endeavors. According to research in 2021 in partnership with the University of Buffalo, Buffalo Prep high school scholars graduate from college in 6 years at an 84% rate, with 83% of Prep graduates responding to UB's survey. All students nationally have a 62% graduation rate in 6 years, and students in Prep's demographic nationally graduate at a 51% rate over 6 years. With an MS in executive leadership and change from Damon University, Johnson has more than 15 years' experience in education and is a college access professional. He leads Prep's college readiness, academic success, workforce development initiatives. Executive director will be Johnson's 4th area of responsibility at Prep over 8 years. A first-generation college graduate originally from Detroit, Michigan, Johnson received his BA from Damon Canisius Colleges. Also at Damon, he was assistant and then associate director of admissions, and served too as assistant men's basketball coach and director of player development for 12 years. He was a member of the Leadership Buffalo class of 2025. I'm honored by the board's confidence in me and look forward to continuing my menteeship with Patty. Prep staff is extraordinary, and I am humbled to help lead them, Johnson said. I feel my strengths and focus are in designing and managing comprehensive student development programs, building institutional partnerships, and facilitating transformative learning experiences. I look forward to continuing to apply those priorities to Prep. Johnson lives in Lockport with his wife, Bridget, a middle school special education teacher in the Royalton Heartland District, and their 2 sons. He is a member of the 716 squash board and coaches his sons' Little League football and basketball teams. Stephen, who has been at Prep for 16 years, became Prep's executive director in 2016. succeeding Marsha O'Neill White, and became president in 2022. Stephen will work closely with Johnson through an 8-month transition supported by a board leadership succession committee. Stephen, 47, centers her work on advancing educational and racial equity, promoting individual and collective well-being, and co-creating compassionate, inclusive cultures of care. She will continue to work on building PrEP's $4 million endowment. She has more than 20 years of leadership experience in the nonprofit sector and currently serves on several boards and committees, including the National Partnership for Educational Access, NPEA, D'Youville University, the Education Collaborative of Western New York, and the National Board of Reading Partners. She is also a co-founder of the Equity Alliance of Western New York. From entertainment, Michael, the King of Pop story returns to the big screen by Stacey M. Brown. The curtain has finally lifted on one of Hollywood's most anticipated films. Lionsgate has unveiled the official trailer and release date for Michael, the sweeping biopic about Michael Jackson that has been years in the making. Directed by Antoine Fuqua, the film will arrive in theaters on April 24th, 2026, with the singer's nephew, Jafar Jackson, stepping into the spotlight to portray his legendary uncle. The trailer wastes no time rekindling the aura of Jackson's genius, opening with a studio scene between Jackson and his longtime producer, Quincy Jones, played by Kendrick Sampson. The clip builds from a quiet, familiar rhythm to the electrifying pulse of "Wanna Be Startin' Something." Viewers catch glimpses of the singer's childhood flashes of Thriller and the silhouette that redefined pop culture. Each frame reminds fans of why Jackson remains unmatched in artistry and influence. The cast surrounding the late pop king's nephew, Jafar Jackson, reads like a who's who of black entertainment and music history. Coleman Domingo plays Joe Jackson, Nia Long portrays Catherine Jackson, and Lorenz Tate takes on the role of Motown founder Berry Gordy. Laura Harrier portrays music executive Susan DePass, while Kat Graham embodies Diana Ross. Miles Teller plays attorney John Braca, a towering entertainment lawyer and longtime Jackson confidant who later became co-executor of his estate. The film's journey to release has been as complicated as the icon it portrays. Production wrapped in 2024, but legal hurdles over depictions of past controversies forced extensive reshoots and editing delays. Even so, Fuqua's film now appears ready to reclaim the narrative, focusing on Jackson's creative ambition and humanity beyond tabloid noise. IndieWire reported that the film had faced, quote, a massive legal snafu over a disputed storyline, but was retooled to center the music and legacy that defined generations. Michael promises more than a chronological retelling. It aims to explore how a child star from Gary, Indiana, became the world's most influential entertainer. The script, written by Oscar-nominated John Logan, traces Jackson's early years with the Jackson 5 through the triumphs and isolation of global superstardom, with Fuqua's cinematic eye and producer Graham King, who brought Bohemian Rhapsody to life, joining forces with estate executors Braca and John McClane. The film is positioned as both a tribute and a restoration of Jackson's cultural truth. Braca's work behind the scenes has long shaped Jackson's posthumous success. After the singer died in 2009, Braca and McClane took control of the estate burdened by debt and turned it into a global powerhouse worth billions. Under their stewardship, Jackson's projects have generated more than $3 billion in worldwide ticket sales and landmark deals, including a $600 million joint venture with Sony earlier this year. At its heart, though, Michael is a story about artistry that transcends scandal. It offers a reminder that despite the noise surrounding his life, Jackson's music still bridges continents and generations. The trailer's closing moments capture that spirit as the beat of Billie Jean swells and Jafar Jackson moonwalks into a spotlight. Audiences are left with a familiar feeling, the awe of witnessing something timeless return home. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. From Is That Right? A Penny for Your Thoughts by Frank Gist. Last week, after 230 years, the U.S. Mint ended the production of pennies. I feel a tinge of childhood nostalgia whenever I think of pennies. How many remember walking to and from school to stop at the corner store and pay the shopkeeper with a fist full of pennies and get back a small brown paper sack full of candy? Those were our first financial transactions. That was our first life lesson about money. The reason why the penny isn't worth a penny anymore is because a copper penny cost 3.3 cents to produce, thus making the lowly penny a financial liability. It is rumored that the nickel might be the next to go. This is just the beginning of the end of all fiat currency, state-issued money. Recently, the Social Security Administration announced that paper checks have been phased out completely and all payments will be, quote, issued electronically via direct deposit or prepaid debit cards. Make no mistake about it, this is the final steps in making America a cashless society where all fiat currency will be eliminated and what is now called, quote, money will be a digital notation on a computer somewhere in cyberspace. The common citizen will no longer have anything tangible in their hands to prove ownership of anything. Most don't know that there was a time pre-1930 when a person could take a $100 U.S. gold certificate bill and redeem it at a bank for $100 in actual gold. That's when money was backed by something tangible that can be held in hand. This modern day high-tech economic structure is a direct way for the people to be financially controlled and even destroyed. The obvious fatal flaw in this techno-economy is what happens in a cashless society if the electric grid is broken or attacked. With no electricity, nobody has a way of making any transactions. This brave new world we live in is precisely predicted in George Orwell's dystopian classic novel, 1984, where the totalitarian corporate oligarchy conducts perpetual wars and every thought and action of the people are surveyed, manipulated, and documented for the greater good of Big Brother. From Eye on History, Towards a Better Life by Eva M. Doyle. Don't buy toy guns for Christmas. I wrote this article about 20 years ago, and I have repeated it again many times. I was the first writer in Buffalo to write about this important topic. Today, many nonviolent groups are spreading this message. I am still encouraging parents and guardians to buy other gifts for our youth. This message is still relevant today. We continue to see gun violence in our community almost daily. The message of non-violence needs to be emphasized as much as possible. Some people might see toy guns as simply a part of fun and play for children. At one time, it was. I remember my brother getting a cowboy outfit with toy guns and caps for Christmas. It was all so innocent during that time. Playing cowboys was part of growing up for many young people. Now, it is a different story because the toy guns that are made today resemble real guns that are for sale today. In the article that I wrote in 1994, I recalled the case of a 13-year-old young man named Nicholas Haywood Jr. Nicholas was playing with a toy rifle on the 14th stairwell of a Brooklyn housing project in September 1994. A police officer shot Nicholas and he later died. He said that he believed that Nicholas had a real gun in his hands. Today, in recent times, we have heard of cases such as this, where children had a toy gun mistaken to be real. As a result, they were shot by the police. The death of Nicholas had a tremendous impact on the youth in the surrounding community. A group of young people from Kids Press magazine started a campaign called Books for Guns. Kids Press was a literary magazine edited and written by about 50 young people in Brooklyn, where Nicholas lived. Many of them knew Nicholas and his family. They wanted to make a statement about the violence in their community. They went around their community armed with books and offered them to the youth in exchange for toy guns. One local toy store, after hearing about the death of Nicholas, decided to get rid of all the realistic guns. The owners had them taken off the shelves and melted down. The final decision is up to the parents whether to buy toy guns, real guns. Violence in the streets, violent television, and video games must be addressed also. Young people must be taught how to solve problems in peaceful ways. I like the idea of exchanging toy guns for books. It is better to stir the imagination of our children with good stories. My message will always be, don't buy guns for Christmas. I think it is still a very good message. Eye on History, Towards a Better Life by Eva M. Doyle. Preparing for snowstorms, blizzards, and other emergencies should become part of our daily lives. We all know that in Buffalo, weather can be unpredictable. We cannot take anything for granted. Now is the time for everyone to get ready. This columnist has written dozens of articles on how to prepare for disasters. The weather is changing all over the country. Snowstorms and blizzards are even more deadly. Here in Buffalo, the weather reports include two words that are heard more frequently: oscillating and snow bands. The recent storms in Buffalo saw these snow bands and oscillating storms cover western New York for more than a few weeks, leading to driving bans, high winds, and whiteouts. The one thing that people should realize now, it is better to be prepared than to wait until the last minute to rush out to the stores to buy the items that you need, because you will run into thousands of other people with the same idea. The store shelves will be cleaned out in a matter of minutes. I recently heard a radio program where the host said that it would only take 4 hours for store shelves to be cleared out in case of an emergency. Now is the time to get the things that you will need in any storm to keep you safe. A disaster can strike any time. No area of the country is immune. Storms, blizzards, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires, floods, and other disasters can affect thousands of people. One of the things that will help you is to always have a go bag near your door that you take with you at a moment's notice. This go bag can be a backpack or lightweight suitcase with wheels, because you might have to run with it. Having a go bag will keep you safe and comfortable for the hours or weeks that you might not be able to return to your home. I recall that a friend who had attended one of my disaster preparedness workshops told a family member about the go bag. This family member lived in California during one of the fires. The go bag was helpful to her family when they had only minutes to escape the fire. All they had to do was take it and run. If you get warning that a storm is coming, then you must prepare yourself in time. Keep the following things in mind. If an official came to your house and told you to evacuate in 5 to 10 minutes, what would you take? Here are some possible items to keep in your bag, which should be kept near the door at all times. Prescriptions or medications that you need. You won't have time to go look for medicines. That's number 1. Number 2, bottled water. Number 3, non-perishable food items such as energy bars. 4, diapers, baby wipes, and other items for a baby. 5, your cell phone. Keep it charged. You might want to take an extra phone charger. An extra pair of glasses would be good. 6, a plastic bag with first aid items. 7, a small portable radio, and don't forget batteries in case the power goes out. 8, you need enough money for a few days in small bills. Have a roll of quarters in case you have to stay in a shelter. The quarters can be used for any vending machines that might be available. And possible items to keep in your car: 1, a blanket, extra face masks, and hand sanitizer. 2, non-perishable food items, plastic eating utensils, and a can opener. 3, a fire extinguisher. 4, a first aid kit. 5, a flashlight. 6, bottled water. 7, garbage bags. 8, a weather band radio. And please note, these are suggestions. There are other items that you might consider. Remember, keep a full tank of gas before you go to bed at night. Keep a blanket, jacket, flashlight, and non-perishable food in your car at all times. Invest in hand warmers and a good pair of gloves. Remember the story of the grasshopper and the ant. The grasshopper played all summer and laughed at the ant who was storing food for the winter. When the winter came, the grasshopper was unprepared and the ant was warm and comfortable. Here are some words to the wise. Be prepared. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the December 2025 issue of the Buffalo Criterion. We read from the Buffalo Criterion every Friday at 7 p.m. Your reader has been Dan Arth. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the New York Times. Following that at 9 o'clock, we have Buffalo Spree, and at 10 o'clock with episode number 13 of Homestand by Will Bardenharper. Stay with us for these readings and more. Radio Reading mails out a large print program schedule to our listeners every other month. If you have not received a Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service large print program schedule in the mail, please call us at 716-821-5555. We will make sure that you receive one every other month. A Braille version of the schedule is also available upon request. Our number again is 716-821-5555.
Hello, this is Mark Reier.